who don't know me, I'm Christina Johansson. I run St. Mary's Young Professionals with some of my compatriots here. Our goal really is to empower and bring together our local young leaders, emerging leaders, and give them a space to grow socially, professionally, and in the community. And Connor has been really awesome in putting together these rise and grinds as we're in this quarantine scenario where we can't really be as social, we can't really bring as many people together as we normally would like to. So kudos to you, Connor. Thanks again for getting this together. The point of our rise and grinds is to expose people in St. Mary's Young Professionals and whoever happens to watch this on YouTube later. I don't know. I have no idea how people would possibly find that, but that's whatever. So is really to expose people to the different organizations and the different leaders within St. Mary's County that they may not otherwise be exposed to or have heard about or have worked with before. And the interesting thing for me is last week and this week are two brand new people for me. And two brand new groups for me. So I'm really excited to learn more today. And I'm really excited that we have a bunch of new folks as well. So if you have questions about St. Mary's Young Professionals for me, we can certainly talk about that kind of at the tail end of this, but I do want to turn it over to BJ, our guest today, to talk a little bit about his background, a little bit about his role in St. Mary's County NAACP, what you guys do, what your organization's all about, and then how we can work together and keep making the county better. So over to you.
All right. No pressure.
No, none at all.
You said new organization. You saying NAACP is new to you, or are you saying that you're not familiar with the St. Mary's County branch?
So it is. So, and it's interesting. So I had this discussion with Destiny yesterday, and I have never attended an NAACP event. I haven't been to any meetings. I didn't know that was really a thing I could go do. And so for me, like, okay, whatever, don't laugh at me. So I've been really involved in the community, except for that. And then when I talked to Destiny yesterday about all of the other things that you're involved in, whether it's personally or via NAACP, I realized that we really intersected a lot, and it isn't something that I really, frankly, know anything about. And I think that same thing is true for a lot of the young professionals in the area, right. Because it's either just not something we've been involved with or something we've heard about from an event standpoint. So really, like, if you want to get to basics,
right.
I'm all ears.
That was the plan. All right. Just to start, this branch has been extremely active for a long time. I think the biggest problem that we've had is how we get that communicated out to the community. So I'll touch on that a little bit later. First off, I'd like to thank you all. I say first off a lot, so it'll be a lot of first offs. Somebody can keep a tally of that. That'd be cool. But I'd like to thank you all for inviting me. Always love partnering with other organizations. That's been one of the goals that I've had myself as the president of the local branch of the NAACP, just because it's no reason for us to start focusing on an area when we already have people that have dedicated their energy to doing so. So I would love to partner with the young professionals in the county and see how we can work together on a few projects. So thank you. A little bit about me. I'm BJ Hall. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm not from St. Mary's County. So I'm not from the St. Mary's Hall clan. I graduated from the United States Military Academy, so beat Navy, even though I do work on Pax River. I got my MBA from University of Alabama, Roll Tide. And if you ever see me, I'm either wearing like Army gear or Alabama hat. So I do rep those very hard. I'm also a member of the great fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to the good bros. And then I'm a member, I'm a commissioner on the Planning Commission, and a member of the Economic Development Commission here in St. Mary's County. And I am your local president for the 7025, that's the St. Mary's County branch of the NAACP.
So you're not busy at all, is what you're telling me.
No, not at all.
Yeah, like talking to myself.
I know. It's funny because I never really think about it until I started writing it down. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. How did I get here? After leaving the Army, I started working in project management. I worked with a couple of different engineering firms, ended up working with a company called Kiewit. And if you are familiar, well, I moved to Canada for a while, and I worked up there for like 5 years. And if you are familiar with the Cove Point project over in Calvert County, I was the planning director for that project. It was for almost a $4 billion project. So we got a lot of work done. Hopefully nobody from the Sierra Club is here, because when I start talking about that, I usually get frowns. But it's better, I swear.
We try to keep these as friendly discussions.
Okay, but while working there, I started. I wanted to reach out to the community, because this is my first time being in the United States in a while. So it was my first time having an opportunity to actually work within a community that I was kind of familiar with, because it was very different in Canada, and oddly enough, it was hard to help people. It was a weird space. So I was anxious to get back into community service type and activism, dealing with minorities and whatnot. And I reached out to the NAACP. Dr. Walthour was the president, and they just embraced me, and I appreciate them for showing me all the love that they have since I've been here. So I worked with political action, press and publicity. Next thing you know, I'm here. So I am currently the president, and yes, it keeps me busy. One of the things I like to start with, because a lot of people don't know what we do as far as the NAACP. It's like the mission of the NAACP. The mission of the NAACP is to secure political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights in order to eliminate race-based discrimination and ensure the health and well-being of all persons. So I always like to put that out there, because people confuse us with a community service organization. It's like the service that we provide to the community is activism that is directed on attacking systematic racism. So race-based discrimination at a systematic level is our purpose. That's our mission, right? So all the community service related things, they support some of the game changers, which are some of the some of the programs that we use to support our mission. So we have 6 game changers: economic stability, so a chance to live the American dream. You know, have the house, the picket fence, the 2.5 kids, and all that good stuff. Education, of course, everyone to have a great education. Health equality, that's a really big deal. So we've been dealing with health disparities over the past couple months. It's good that people are finally having an opportunity to have that discussion. Public safety and criminal justice, voting rights, and political representation, and expanding youth and young adult engagement. So I mean, if you're not engaging with your youth and your young adults, I mean, then your organization kind of dies on the vine. Some of the programs that we have here locally, well, you see when Briscoe tied in. Luckily, we have been blessed to have her as a chair, as our economic development chair. She's had a couple of events. We had a small business forum last year and a networking event. We've been working with the Board of Elections to help train our members to get registered to vote. To register voters. Annually, we have a back to school drive where we give school supplies to local students, and we have mini sessions for the parents to help them with like time management, stress management. HBCU, historically Black colleges and universities. We bring them in and have a college fair. This past year, we had well over 300 students come in. We had 25 get accepted on the spot. Over $40,000 in a scholarship that was given out. Since COVID has been going, since we've been in a COVID environment, we held a forum to talk about how our county was dealing with COVID. We had a few of the county commissioners come in, and we had members. The health department come in as well. And we're working with the census, the complete count committee. So I always like to ask a question: Have you done your census? Everybody on? I see all your faces. You done your? Cool, great. Just a quick checkup. Maryland is around 62.5% self-response rate. Calvert, I'm a competitive person, so I like to look at people that are similar to us. So I'm like, I don't like the fact that we're losing to Calvert and Charles. So Calvert is actually leading the Tri-County area with 66.7, and Charles has 65.6, and we are getting murdered. We are at 62.1. But that appears to be par for the course, because during the self-response phase in 2010, we only got 63.5%, and we have and that's supposed to run until the end of July. So, it was supposed to run until the end of July. Now it's been pushed out to October. So, so hopefully we can beat that 63.5. If we get stuck here, that would be shameful. I know all of us don't want enumerators knocking on the door, so just fill it out, or they're gonna come knocking. They might have COVID. Be safe. Do your census. We're also working to get information out about the primary election coming up here. We were supposed to have it already, so it's been postponed. And I'm not sure if everyone has their ballots. Does everybody have their ballot already? You don't have your ballots? Don't have your ballots? All right. Now, if you do not have your ballot, you need to go online and check to make sure that your information is correct, because you should have received, all registered active voters should have received a ballot by now. And from, I believe it's the 21st to June 2nd, they'll be accepting your ballots at two drop-off locations in the county. One is at Hollywood Firehouse, and then the other is at the Board of Elections in Leonardtown. On June 2nd, they'll have limited in-person voting. So if you don't trust your mail carrier, or if you don't believe that your vote is secure through the mail-in process, if you don't have the capability of accessing your mail or whatnot, you can go and vote in person at Hollywood Firehouse on June 2nd. I could keep rambling. But,
no, this has been the most informational, rapid fire debrief that I have gotten in one of these. So don't mind. I've been just taking notes. So if you hear some clicking away, that's what I've been doing, just to make sure that I can kind of consolidate what you're talking about and then get that out to the folks that follow our page, and get that out in our newsletters. So what was really interesting for me to hear just literally from the outset, and it's something that we've heard from every single person that has been on here, is that it's really hard to get information out here locally. Organizations tend to get stovepiped. You talk to the same people and the same information goes out in the same channels. So if you're new to the county, if you're new to the area, or if you're just not involved in that organization, you don't hear you don't get the information.
Yeah.
So what we've been trying really hard to do is, as we start interacting with new people, as we start interacting with new organizations, we really want to start being a catalyst for information dissemination to the young professionals in the area, right? I mean, that's our demographic. So, I can't reach everybody. But what I can do is reach this particular demographic and get them the information that they need on voting, on the census, on what events you guys have going on. So what I would offer up is that if there are events, if there are things that are important to the community that we need to be aware of, please send that our way. We'll get it up on our social media. We'll get it out through our newsletter as well. Thankfully, I mean, there are some benefits to COVID, right? I mean, we've had like 100 and some extra people like our Facebook page. So, we've got 700 people that can potentially get this information that might not necessarily be on your distribution list, or might not necessarily, like from last week, be, on the distribution list for rec and parks, right? So if there is stuff that needs to go out, if there is that information, please send it our way, and we'd really like to be able to get that out to our distros too.
Yeah. So one thing that I forgot to mention, because you kind of touched on something when you first started talking in the beginning. The NAACP is not just for Black people. So a lot of times, people make the assumption that because it's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, that is just for colored people. No, it's not. It's actually started by a bunch of white people, and they brought some Black people in. And
so the interesting thing, so I was talking to Destiny about this, and it's something that you run into going into a new group like anywhere, right? It's like when you walk into the lunchroom and you're like, oh, do I have a friend here? Like, I don't know anybody. So like that's been a hang up for me, right? I mean, that and the fact that my schedule is insane, but for me, it's like, well, who do I know there? And it's hard to walk into a group where you just don't know anybody.
Understand.
So right. So now it's great. So I know you, I know Destiny, right? And so I'm, it makes it easier when you start to know people. So I really appreciate that open invitation. And I think everybody listening along does too. So as you have events, as you have meetings, as you you engage other people, like I said, please let us know, and we'll make sure that's really clear.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of events coming up. We're partnering with Historic St. Mary's and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Tau Lambda chapter, to have a virtual wine festival. We had a wine festival planned on April 25th.
That's right. That's right.
But we pushed it to July 4th, but now we've just kind of gone the virtual route because we don't believe that we will be able to get crowds in person. Right now, we're working out some logistics to coordinate some wine tasting packages with Maryland wine growers. We will be having Uncle Nearest. They'll be a big participant. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the story of Uncle Nearest, but there was a slave that was actually a good distiller from here in Maryland that was sold down to Tennessee, and apparently he took his recipe and taught someone named Jack Daniels how to make the sour mash. So it's a really cool story. We've connected with that group, and I think it'll be cool because they're supposed to be tying us up with their master distiller, and if we can get their master distiller to come and tell the story, especially from Uncle Nearest Distillery, I think that would be an added benefit to going virtual. So that event is on June 20th, and it'll be a free event unless you want to buy the package. Working on some merchandising because we stopped everything once COVID hit. So we should have kept plowing forward, but we didn't know when everything was going to break. So so now we're trying to get everything going again, and hopefully we can have shirts and different things because there's some artwork that should be complete by now.
Awesome. Hey, so so Matt just sent in a quick note. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or if you saw it pop up, but if you need anything from the former head of the Kentucky Bourbon Distillers Association, or if that connection would be helpful to you, Matt does have that connection.
Absolutely.
Happy to help out.
If not this year, we plan on making this an annual fundraiser. So we do a lot of fundraising to pay for the programs that we have out in the community. So hopefully we can get larger sponsors on one of our bigger fundraisers, so we don't have to ask for small donations when we're doing our program.
Yeah, that is particularly hard around here. Everybody gets hit up for the same. Everybody gets hit up a bunch of times all year. So yeah, that is definitely a challenge. So there was also,
Thanks,
Destiny, you mentioned in our discussions, is it a picnic in the park?
Friday in the park.
Friday in the park. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about that?
So Friday in the park, it was a brainchild of Catherine Groot, if you know about St. Annie's.
Yeah.
So I was mentioning doing some type of having an outside party, and she gave me this vision of hers, and she was like, oh, the way I see it, she was like, we can have a community event right here in Lancaster Park, and kind of laid it all out, and I was like, you know what, I like your idea. So we came together and we put a few things together last May, I think it was last May or June. And the first one was actually really well attended and really well received. And so we ended up doing one again in the fall. And it's just an opportunity for people in the community to get together and fellowship. We do allow vendors, but it's not really much. It's more like community organizations that have information to put out. Like we had the census there. SMYP talked about some of their minority recruiting programs that they had. So it's not much as far as vending goes, but we do have vendors out there. We don't want to turn it into a marketplace. We play kickball. We had a bounce house for the kids. Knowledge Boxing came out and did an expo. So it was a really good time. We used one of the dance floors for a Zumba class. One of the dance floors, one of the basketball courts for a Zumba class, and the Zumba floor actually livened up the entire event the first time we had it. We had some technical issues. The second go around, we had like 4 generators show up and none of them would actually work. So it was really crazy. But the second one was actually better attended than the first. So
that's great. And that's just open to the community?
Oh yeah, it's just a free event. We have food out there. So we had a couple of food trucks, Chew It Up. They came out and they barbecued for us. They had ribs, and then they had the basics. You know, if you just wanted hot dogs and hamburgers. So for a lot of kids came and tore those up and reasonably priced. We actually had the Jamaican grill. They came out and the first time, and we usually have like ice cream, snow cones, and stuff like that for the children. So this year the plan is to have a budget to pay for a lot of the food, so people don't have to worry about the cost. So, well, I guess this year was intended, but we're gonna bring that thing back next year, so it should be good.
No, it sounds great. And I realize that I have been totally monopolizing all of these questions, which generally happens with these just because I'm chatty. But we have a ton of other people on the line. So I want to, since we're about 30 minutes in, I'd like to actually just open it up. If there are any questions that you guys have, please feel free to you're welcome to just type it in comments if you're more comfortable doing that. But do we have any questions?
Before the questions come, if you haven't had an opportunity to hit our YouTube channel up, since we've been working in this COVID environment, we've reached out to a number of resources and created short snippets to provide information to the community. So we had the EMS, we had Captain Hall from the Sheriff Department. I'm trying to think of who all we've had. We've had a ton of people. Wynn did a couple for us, talking about some of the resources that were available to small business. And if you all know of any information that needs to be sent out to the community, and would like to record something in a small window, so we try to keep them to we like to limit them to 90 seconds. So it's just a quick minute.
Cool.
So
no, thanks for that. That's awesome.
Adrian and I, this is not NAACP. This is not, I repeat, this is not an NAACP thing. But Adrian and I also do, we're working on a show. I guess I call it a show. I don't know what else to call it, but we're providing it's similar to this, but we're doing it on Sundays, and we kind of stole like the verbiage from the Friday Night in the Park. We call it Sunday in the Park, and the park is a play on Lexington Park, so it's not just just a park thing. We want it to be have some element of the county in it. But what we're doing is reaching out to organizations and to local small businesses to have just so we can talk about what organizations are doing. And so it's very similar to what you were doing. And but we're also highlighting small businesses. And then we have like a light portion at the end where we'll probably start ranking cereals or something.
No, seriously, that's awesome. And the more organizations that can do these little interviews, that can do spotlights, I think that it's all helpful for the community, especially right now. So that's awesome. I'll have to check it out. Where are you guys doing that? Is it on your same?
Well, it's on. You can find. We actually created a page called Sunday in the Park. Adrian and I, we usually share it on our pages because we stream ours. So we don't care about the editing. We're just like, you know what, one take, baby. So
I know I never go back through and watch these. I'm like, I'm not editing it. So I'm good. All right. Do we have questions? I mean, I can keep talking all day, but I would rather have if somebody. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I do have one. I was really waiting for somebody else to ask a question, but the Innovation District, with all the COVID and everything taking everybody's attention, we are still thinking about things in the future. The Innovation District that we're working on up around the airport with technologies, things like that. One of the things we've been trying to do is make sure that we're including as much of the community in Southern Maryland, and especially St. Mary's County, as we can, getting everybody's viewpoints, the environmental folks, all the different communities, the cultures, because we know the Innovation District needs to be different. and we know it needs to bring in everybody's perspective. And I don't know that we've done a great job at that. I think we've tried to get the community meetings, the output or the outreach out there, getting people to come to the meetings, provide the inputs, things like that. I was just wondering, since we have this opportunity, if you have been aware of what's going on with the Innovation District and kind of what's your view, the NAACP's view about the efforts, about what's going on. Is it as inclusive as we want it to be? What could we do to make it more inclusive?
So I guess being that I'm involved with a few other different groups, I was aware of what we had in the of a few of the meetings that we've had with the Innovation District. I was actually at, I think, the last one where they had the. I think I was at the last two. There was one at the Higher Ed Center where we had group breakouts and whatnot. And
I think I remember seeing you there.
Yeah, I'll say what?
I think I remember seeing you there.
Right, and so we were. I participated in that one, and then when they actually presented the report and whatnot, I was a little disappointed because it felt like none of the things that I heard in that meeting were represented in the plan that they presented to the group. So I'm like, don't just bring me in here just to make me feel like I'm a part of the decision making process. I was like, I'm perfectly fine with you just making the decision and not wasting my time, and I can complain about it later. But if you want to sit here and waste my time and get me to come in and give you ideas and not incorporate anybody's ideas, it's just like, that's just that's not genuine outreach to the community. So that's the way I felt about the way that we handle the Innovation District community outreach. So if it's going to be an effort that's put in to reach out to the community, for one, it has to be, we have to make sure that we're reaching out to organizations that will get it out to the community. Because when I got to the room, it was, first off, I may have been the youngest person there, and I'm almost 40, and so that was a problem. And then I could definitely count the minorities in the room with my hands, So we have to do a better, if we're gonna get people in the room. First off, we have to have a more diverse group, and then you gotta incorporate those ideas. If people take their time to come out and participate, or at least tell them why their ideas didn't make it, and if they weren't innovative enough, that makes sense. But at least, like, I didn't see anybody's ideas incorporated into that thing. So, and I actually read through it, and they did a presentation, and I was asking questions, and I was, so I'm all about it, and I think that it's important. I think that the Innovation District is definitely important to the growth of the county, and I think it could provide some much needed jobs that are not tied directly to the base, and don't provide the same roadblocks that a lot of people that are from here have getting work on the base. So I'm all for any type of advancement that we can get over there, but it's a matter of making sure that people are heard when you actually say you want to hear them.
I really appreciate that. And any specific ideas that you had or that you heard that were not represented in the plan, I would be really interested in hearing from you directly about what those things were that weren't included offline, obviously, or whenever. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Who's got the next hard question? No, BJ, I appreciate your honesty. I think Sybil had a great comment in there too. That it's really important to have these conversations, right, and to be open and vulnerable about it when you're sharing your opinions. And I went to the unveiling for the Innovation District as well. I hadn't been in any of the planning pieces of it, so it's interesting to hear your perspective that that wasn't, that people's ideas weren't really like incorporated. So that's interesting to hear.
Destiny, do you agree? Did you see? Am I completely off base there? Or did you?
So,
never mind. Hold up. That's your job.
That's my job. But I will say, just being with that's why I was quiet. Being with the Economic Development Department, I think it was important to have the community conversation, because I know for that we were just being really big on awareness. Just for some of the outreach, I just want to tell you what happened with some of the outreach. We went to all the businesses in the area. We sent letters to all the houses in like the Wildwood, in that area surrounding the Airport Innovation District. We went to all the shopping center on Wildwood Shopping, just to share some of the outreach. And then of course, we do emails, we send it out Facebook, Instagram, newsletters, send it to people send it out. So I just want to tell you a little bit about that outreach, because we try to cover that area, and then of course people from other areas of the county are going to come. We want them to come and be involved in those decisions. With the input, all the input did not make it. I'm not going to say nothing made it, but all of the input from that initial conversation did not make it. I know the what are they? The consultants. There we go. The consultants gave us I think 3 draft renditions of the Innovation District and suggested which one was best. And I think it was a while ago, I think they showed the 3 recommendations at that meeting. So they explained that, but yes, they did not explain why a lot of other ideas did not go into that. So I do agree that that's something we could have probably did a better job at, just saying why this didn't make it there. So yeah.
Well, and you know what? I mean, it's hard too to even just get people out, right? I mean, we find that all the time. I don't know how you guys find that, but try and get anybody to engage if they don't understand what's in it for them piece. It is so hard. It is so hard. I mean, our events finally started picking up after a couple of years. Because people finally started to understand like what we were all about, why we were bringing people together. But it has been really challenging, and I'm sure you guys find the same thing. It's the same people that come to the same stuff, right? So how do you reach new people, and how do you get people to care, right? It's a really transient community down here, right? You've got a bunch of military folks that come in for a couple of years and they peace out. So why do they care what the community is like when it's not their home, right? So trying to really trying to make this into everybody's home as quickly as you can, whether or not they're going to be here for a long time, has been important for us, and I'm sure it's the same way for you all. It's just articulating that and reaching the new people. And Destiny, I don't envy you at all trying to get people out. Seriously. Like, I mean, I tried to bring a bunch of folks out with our group to the unveiling for that. And we did. We got a couple of people out to go, but it was somehow they either didn't read it, they didn't see it, they didn't think it was for them. And that's a big thing too, right? And we started this conversation. What's for me, right? And how do you know if you don't go?
Well, the thing about it is, if you only market it as an economic development or innovation district, you're already limiting yourself, right? So you're still focusing on that same group, and I think that's one of the challenges that we've had, and one of the things that we've done to increase like participation is to kind of bring the circus to your event, right? So you have a message along with the circus. So you need the circus to get people in the tent. So things that like, so we have like movie nights. So we have our membership table there at a movie night. It's a fundraiser. People get to come together, and it's just like you kind of design something that would that would attract people that normally wouldn't come to just an economic development meeting. But if you say, hey, we're having a mixology class, and now this is an opportunity for us to talk about a small business, roll out our programming that we have coming up, networking opportunity, blah 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 blah. You know, so it's about your people, your target audience, the people that your main group will come because it's your event. But it's a matter of trying to reach out to other people, and I think you almost have to mask your purpose just to get them inside the tent.
Well, and on it, so we have found that very much, and I appreciate. So, you know, there's a little bit of chat going on in the background. I can't respond; my iPad's tilted, so I look a little weird. But getting buy-in is so important because you already have buy-in from your group, BJ, like you were just saying, right? But getting buy-in from the rest of the community, getting buy-in from the people who exist here, that are going to be here. All they want to do is just outlast you, right? You and your good ideas, you know, you're gonna hit the train for a couple of years, and then either your life situation changes, you move, whatever, and they'll just wait you out unless there's that what's in it for them to make the community better and to see that better isn't always just their version of better, right? It is how we move forward together into something new, right? And what you're saying is true. The reason why for SMYP we started really gaining traction is because we started working with other groups. It wasn't just, okay, here's the St. Mary's Young Professionals, come meet us out at Elements and have a drink. It was, okay, well, we're going to get together with the Calvert group and the Charles group. So there are new people for you to talk to. And that has really helped. So anytime that you guys want to like partner for an event, have us co-host stuff with you, you co-host stuff with us, whatever, just trying to bring awareness and bring new people in, frankly. So really let us know how we can help you, and how we can do some partnership for sure.
Roger that.
I know, BJ, you've got a hard stop pretty soon. So do we have any other questions from folks on the line, comments, things that we haven't addressed that we should? I know there's stuff.
So I have a question unrelated to the airport. So I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people that are Black or African American are about like 14 or 15% of the county's population, but are almost 40% of the confirmed cases of COVID-19. So why, in your opinion, BJ, does that disparity exist, and what can the county do about it?
You bring that up with like 5 minutes to go.
I know, right?
For real?
You see how you're gonna do? Man, I'm just, well, never mind. I don't want to mention it, but I was prepared for a much worse conversation. I was like, man, if somebody mentions that, First off, I just, for people who watch this later, just remember, the NAACP didn't start this conversation. We didn't make it a race issue. But
I did. You can blame me. That's fine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I get frustrated about it. Well, when we talked about health disparities before, I think that this COVID environment exposes some of the problems that we have, that we face as minorities, right? So, and to sit here and point at one thing specifically, that doesn't do the conversation any justice. There are some serious issues to access to healthcare. There are a lot of, the issue has to do with the health disparities that were present before COVID got here. I don't think that COVID is racist. I just think that we had some pre-existing conditions that are impacted because that impacts minorities because of a specific set of circumstances that I probably don't have the best opportunity to go into. And I think that is a deeper conversation that if you all would like to participate in, we can bring in Minority Outreach Coalition. We could bring in a few organizations that actually work in healthcare here, and they can tell you some of the specific reasons, especially here in the county, that need to be addressed to help change the issues that we have here as far as the health disparities go.
So BJ, I'm sure that there are these discussions happening. I mean, not really at our level. It's obviously a much bigger issue. Are these conversations being had in the county already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the health department, they have a plan that they do every 5 years, and I believe they do an annual report that they release on health disparities. And the question then goes into, like every other plan that the county produces, what are we going to do with the plan? Is the plan just going to sit on somebody's desk, or we going to actually put some action to that plan? So the health plan is just like the comprehensive plan, which is like the Lexington Park Development Plan. It's like all these other plans that sit here with actions that need to be done, and they haven't been, people haven't pressed the go button on. So it's a matter of actually executing. So it's being talked about, but what are we doing? It's like we just had a meeting. Was it the county commissioners had a meeting last Tuesday where the health department asked for 2 extra nurses. It's like, if you really cared about this issue, this is an issue that you were really paying attention to, you would understand. They need nurses. They need doctors. They need a lot of resources down there because of the issues that we're dealing with, and it has nothing to do with COVID. They needed nurses before this issue. So this is to see people discuss it on TV. It was like, man, have you not been paying attention? Or have you not listened? It was like, there's a plan in front of you. You know they need resources. Come on, y'all.
Well, it takes external forcing 99% of the time, right? I mean, to actually get action, to get action done. So I really appreciate that, and I know we're running. On time. It's a really big issue, a really big question on, and definitely not something we can address in the next 8 minutes. But Matt has a comment here. So, yeah. So I don't know if you guys are all up in chat. Matt, did you want to just? You don't have to just stay quiet.
No, it's your group. It's your people.
You are my people too.
No, I was just making the comment that besides the healthcare aspects, which are spot on, and you're right, they were pre-existing. This just exposes it again, keeps smacking that peg, and just doesn't seem to go away. But the other aspect of the economic issues, the people of color work in industries that can't telework as easily. They have to keep working. So there's the pressure of, I can't sit back. I have to keep working to feed my family. So those economic issues just keep rolling and rolling and rolling into these areas that, oh, here's a new threat. Same old problem, but it's a new threat, and making it that much worse.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
So on that note, I think we probably are going to wrap up. Like I said, BJ, I want to be respectful of your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody who's new to the group for actually showing up this morning. Hopefully you all were well caffeinated when you started. I know we all have long days ahead of us. But I love that we were able to have this conversation today. I learned a lot of new things. BJ, anything that you need to put out to the community, like I said, we are happy to be a conduit for that information dissemination. If you want to keep having these discussions, if there are other things that we're not capturing, I mean, I don't know what I don't know. So the better informed I can be, the better informed our people can be. And especially with some of these community events going on, some of the activism that you all are pushing, and even just general community stuff like the census and voting, right? All important things for everybody. So, like I said, I appreciate you being here and taking the time, and I really look forward to working with you in the future. Now that I know you, I'm pretty sure I'm going to run into you all the time, because that's just how this works.
Exactly right.
So did you have anything to wrap up with?
No, I mean, I thank you for the opportunity, and we'll probably end up doing additional forums, because we don't have the ability to do our typical branch meetings. So we have to come up with ways to still meet and disseminate information. So we'll make sure that we keep you all in the loop, and hopefully, oh, wait, members. We we not only do we want to partner with you, you can also become members. Becoming a member is too easy. You can go to St. Mary's NAACP.org. We have membership that's $30. And I press the membership button all the time, but more than becoming a member, we need volunteers to do work. And it's like your time is more valuable than that $30. And so whenever we do have events, we always need people to help out. So follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, St. Mary's NAACP, Instagram, St. Mary's NAACP. We're not that active on Twitter. But if you all follow us, we usually put a lot of content out, and you should be aware of all of our events as we go.
Awesome, and thanks, Adrienne, for the links. I'll make sure that we get all of that out. We'll post the recording of this